Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harping on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to Ireland's next pool match against the Springboks is someone back for cap number 61. Hello to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
How are we? Just to make you safe here, I'm not making a hostage video. I'm in the office. So
So
we're officially
technically,
talking
you are.
business.
Okay. Now, listen. So, just before we look at this week's match, Keego, I don't think we've had you on since the World Cup kicked off. So, why don't you share with us first your overall thoughts on the tournament so far?
Yeah, look, it's hard to argue. We've gotten this far relatively injury-free. Balem's back this weekend, which is great. Things are starting to move in terms of complicated plays and things like that, which is great. A lot of good stuff, but like obviously it's a big weekend. We've got to come up, but there's a lot in the tank. There's a lot still to come from the guys from the team, and there's a little air of confidence coming from Farrell. Not disrespect, but confidence. And I think we're going to see it's a confidence of someone who knows something that we don't know yet, and I'm looking forward to finding that out.
Absolutely, is it? It's definitely a lot to look forward to. Okay, so now it's time to look at our feature match of the week, which is, of course, South Africa v Ireland in Pool B of the Rugby World Cup. It's taking place at the Stade de France, or in Paris, on Saturday, September 23rd, kicking off at 8 p.m. Irish time. TV coverage in Ireland is on RT2 and ITV1, and as ever, you find the full listings for the weekend on harpingonrugby.com. Just click on the Rugby on TV tab. Ireland named their match day 23 on Thursday afternoon. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's right there in the screen. Or for pod listeners, it's in the program notes. Now, Keego, I know rather than look at the actual squad itself, you wanted to focus on more general points, starting with an interview with Keith Earls from during the week.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Some I don't know if it's the same for everyone or yourself, but I always think of these guys as just they're built different from top to bottom. They're not human beings and they do inhuman things for our entertainment. Half of that's true, but Keith Earl did an interview during the week. I don't know when it was recorded, but it was out during the week where he was talking about his mental health, and he kind of alluded to it relatively recently when he was talking about first 50 caps, second 50 caps, and what was going on between his ears. And I think, there's a lot of things that need to kind of work their way through the system in terms of rugby and how we do it. But when you see someone like Keith Earls, who, regardless of the jersey, regardless of who he's playing for, we all love and respect him, and we can't wait to buy him a pint when he retires. But when he comes out and he says things about the struggles he's had, whether you're working in the big jersey playing South Africa tomorrow, or you're working in an office in Dublin, or you're working at McDonald's, or you're in college or whatever, he's saying that everyone goes through the space between the ears and struggles in there. So it was beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go put the kettle on and sit down and watch the full thing. It makes him more human, and you don't get that in a lot of other sports. A lot of football or NFL or all this sort of stuff, it's all sanitized, homogenized, pasteurized. It's made for content, whereas he just spilled his guts there in front of the camera, and you could see it doing something to him in the background. But it was amazing to watch. I've watched it 3 times since then. He is the man.
Yeah, it's great to be able to talk about those things. I mean, we forget. I mean, we're sports fans, and sports it's like a zero sum. You win or you don't in most cases, and we absorb the emotion and we feel all the emotions of every win and loss, and so you can only imagine what it's like for the players. And the other, like you say, we think they're these like superhuman types that can just brush it off, but of course they can't, and it's going to affect them, and it's going to affect them differently. And the important thing is that when it doesn't, they are able to deal with it and talk about it. It's a real inspiration for what he's gone through in the interview. I'll put a link to that in the program notes if anyone hasn't seen it. Your second point is another interview from during the weekend. This time it's on a slightly different aspect of the Irish squad. This was with Robbie Henshaw.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, we love Robbie Henshaw. He's been brilliant forever. Kind of injuries are starting to creep in a wee bit. After the longest run of form I can remember in Irish rugby, I think it's 15 years of playing brilliantly. So he came out and he was being spoken to about Ringrose and Aki and how they're working well together, and obviously the job that Bundy's doing. And he just came out and said it. Like he's delighted for Aki in what we may have seen as his position, Henshaw's position. He's delighted for him. He understands his role now. It shows that it's not just 15, it's 32 plus staff plus standby. Everyone is buying into this. He knows he has a job to do every single weekend that he's fit, but he also understands that Aki is unplayable, as they said last week on the TV. He's unplayable at the moment, and to see him, Aki going into cap number 50, salute as well. But to see Henshaw with all of that experience and all of that, he obviously wants to start, but he also understands that he's there to play a role. And if the opportunity presents himself, he's able to start a game. But he's the support player in this game, this big game on Saturday, tomorrow, and he's going to do his job. That brings confidence into the midfield. People talk about Ringrose maybe kind of falling down a wee bit. I don't know. Maybe I've been hitting the head too many times. He's still where he is. And Aki's playing like someone's put an elastic band around his party area. He is playing the best we've ever seen him. So Henshaw's just putting his hands up and going, I'm ready to rock, coach, whenever you want me to go in. But for right now, I'm supporting Aki in that 12 jersey.
Absolutely, because we were just saying on the pod for the wrap after the Tonga game how, like, this is how rugby or any team sport is supposed to work. I mean, you have the jersey until you don't, and it's unfortunate that Henshaw got injured when he did, but that's when you want other people to step up, and he's been, whatever you say about the opposition, Romania against Tonga. I mean, Bundyaki is at that level of form, and he seems to have, touch wood, handled the discipline issues he might have had before, and he just fits there. He works there with Ringrose. What on Ringrose? I mean, we said it. I've said it before. He. I think that maybe he, in the Irish system, you have to have him there when he's fit, but he's almost underused. He's almost like a bonus. I don't think they factor him into the plan because they do so many moves off 9 and 10 and 12, and then bringing the wingers in. Ringrose is almost like an extra element there. Then when something goes wrong, he picks it up and gets us back in the front foot again. That's kind of his job, as it were. Plus on defense as well. And also defensively, himself and Aki are
Yeah.
proving that they can work well together as well. So it's all good. So I mean, it is good to see. But then we still have Henshaw there. He's fit. He's able to play. He would have been able to start if possible, but we'll get the use of him off the bench now, and he knows that role. That's really good. And the third point you have is about this notion of combating the box.
Yeah, it's a typical Irish narrative. I hate using the word narrative, but like a word of the day, toilet paper. But it is, this is what we do every time we go into a big game in any sport. We kind of talk about kind of nullifying the opposition or containing the opposition or playing for a draw, whatever the word is, whatever the game is. We've got to remember we're world number one here. They don't relish playing us. They've picked seven forwards because they think that they're going to go at us up front and tire us out. They've left a massive gap out the back. We have to understand we're world number one. We're favorite to this thing. We want to win this thing, and we need to verbalize that we want to win the World Cup. My dad never said it. His dad never said it, but we get to say it, and the lads get to go and do it. And we're talking about Ringrose there a second ago. I think that's one of the tricks that is going to come back in. When Farrell came in first, Aki started going in as first receiver. I think we may see Sexton floating further out. So you go Aki, Ringrose, Sexton, or whatever way they want to do it. I think stuff like that is going to start happening, but it's not about combating the opposition. It's not about containing the opposition. We have a squad there to beat this team. South Africa do not relish seeing a green jersey. We obviously, there's two elite level teams. It's going to be close. It's like Leinster, La Rochelle. When you're that high up above a lot of the other teams, it's going to be close. But we have the team to do it. We have the game plan to do it. We have the ideas to do it. We have James Lowe's left boot to do it. Going to keep the big boys turning around, sucking so much oxygen that the first three rows of Stade de France are going to pass out from oxygen deprivation. All this sort of stuff is going to be happening. But we have to change our thinking, just not just rugby. I think a whole island. We underplay ourselves in every facet. We're brilliant at everything. We need to believe in ourselves, and we're going to show that on Saturday.
Yep, because I mean, this is something that's been a feature of this kind of run that this anti-Farrell team has been on, going back 2 years. Whereas we've always had the same doubts whether they've won a Triple Crown or then won a series in New Zealand or won a Grand Slam and whatever else they've won. But we still have those doubts from going way back and stuff. But that's not the issue in terms of how the team's going to perform, because it's always all through that. It's been obvious that they believe. They're not just going to break some duck about semifinals in Ireland and World Cups. They're there to win it, and it's not. And when you go into a match like this, you don't South Africa named their team early. So it was like, oh God, look at the team. It's so packed, whatever. It's like, no, that's not how it is. Okay, that's their team. Well, this is our team. And we didn't change what we did. We named our team at the same time. We're just doing what we would have done. They say that the draw was made 50 years ago or whatever it was, but maybe that was too long. But the fact of that, the other side of that is we've had that long to prepare for this game, so we're ready, and we know who we're playing. We know it's the world champions. We know that what we can do, and we can pick our team to do it.
Just really quickly, following on from your point there, like we knew this was going to happen. We knew South Africa were going to be there in the way. Whether it's in the groups, it's going to be in the knockout, or it's going to be in the final. It's the same with France. And listen, hopefully Dupont gets back. He's Wolverine. He'll be fine. We want him in the tournament, and that's a weird thing for an Irish person to say as well. No, years gone by, we would say Dupont's gone, Entomac's gone, great. We want them in the team. That's the difference. We watched Ireland England in the warm up last World Cup, and we could see the guys losing faith. We have never seen that. Even when times are tough, there's always something there to come back to. We're going to be positive. We're going to put the best out there. If South Africa can beat the best we put out, fair play to them. I don't think they have it in them. We weren't surprised by what they named. They may not have been surprised by what we named, but look at our bench, which we'll talk about now. There's a lot of gas on that bench and a lot of beef. So I feel we've got it in us.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the Irish team, like, is pretty much what was expected. Overall, there was no. I mean, like you say, it was great to have Beelan back. It's some might have thought Joe McCarthy might have gotten a shout, but Ryan Baird's in there on the bench. It's Henderson. It's all good. It's all the team we pretty much would have expected, considering the squad we had. And it's one that it's instead, although they named their team first, it's a team. This is the team that they picked to beat us rather than the other way around, because we knew what we were going to do. But let's have a look at that Springbok lineup. Now, you mentioned it in what you were saying there, but I just in case the listeners don't know, because it hasn't really been reported enough, the Springboks put 7 forwards on the bench out of 8. I mean, now maybe that might have passed by a lot of people because nobody's been really talking about it. But overall, what do you make of their matchday squad?
Not surprised by South Africa. Listen, they're animals. They're brilliant. There is an improved skill level over the last 2 years. And there's a lot of monsters in that squad. And if you look at their bench, I think the bench is what lets them down, the bomb squad, as they call it. There are players there that we recognize and that the guys would recognize and they would have no fear of. I think fear is the wrong term. Fear from the couch, not from the pitch. If sitting on the couch, I'm not worried about who they're bringing on. There are players there that we all know and recognize. I think if you look at their front row, they're out to take some heads within the rule set. So I think Kelleher has a massive job to do in the middle of that scrum. They're going to try and somebody was talking about recently that South Africa scrum very high. Now, technicalities, I don't know, but if we can keep our level the way it has been, we can drive underneath and through them, which is what Furlong and Porter love to do. But Kelleher has to hold us together. And there's a lot of beef there. We're obviously looking for Tadhg Beirne to play a lot of ball, which will be great. Disrupt a lot of ball, which he can do, which is brilliant. Our back row can be a combination of anybody. I think the back row battle is going to be really, really great. Our number 8 Staris and Jasper on the opposition is going to be a great battle. I think we've a better 10. Obviously, I think we've got the number 9 battle is going to be fantastic to watch as well. And I think the back 3, it's like, you pay money, don't say it, you pay twice to watch the back 3s on both of those teams. But skill for skill, you're picking one squad out of those, those two teams. It's mostly green.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one thought I had was that it's a bit almost like a Batman v Superman in that their Batman, they've got all the gadgets. They've got your bomb squad, they've got 7-1 benches, they've got flashing lights, and all that kind of stuff, which is great, and it's good and it's okay. But we've got more superpowers, and it's just a case of how they come together on the day. But the fact of the matter is that in matches like this in the past, we've been looking up, and thinking like we're punching above our weight, and that is absolutely not what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. This is a straight fight between 2 serious contenders for the title, and it's is promising to be a classic, especially defensively. I think even if it's low scoring like the last one was at the Aviva, it'd still have us hooked from start to finish.
I say I think when Baird and Henderson make an appearance, Baird with the speed coming on, even with the when the bomb squad come on, it's great marketing. But I think when Baird comes on, he's going to have too much footwork for whatever's in front of him. I think Henderson is going to keep that beef at the back of the scrum, so that maybe if they do fancy a shot in the second half, because like their pack is only going to go 40, 50 minutes. You know, things need to happen. We need to put their 10 under pressure. Doris is going to be aiming straight at him. They're going to be aiming at Sexton as well, obviously. We need to keep them turning around, keep the whole team turning around, running back towards their own try line. Because the backs, they've nowhere to go. That's it. They have to be on the pitch no matter what. If they start cramping up at 55, 60 minutes, we've got a lot of speed and a lot of beef to come back on. And, Henshaw coming on. I'm delighted that Crowley gets in there because he can do midfield and 10 or even fullback as well. But the more I'm talking about it, the more exciting I'm getting because, as you say, there are more superpowers, in the Irish jersey as opposed to the massive beef, which is impressive. But what is it? Precision beats power, timing beats speed, whatever it is, whatever that phrase is. That's what we have. They don't have it.
Absolutely. And just one more gadget I think that might be on their belts, as it were, is that that 23 may not be the 23 that actually ends up on the night. I could see sort of a late little change, sort of a Razzie trying to get into their heads kind of move. He's always capable of that. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Okay, so now we move on to the officials for the night. You can see Ben O'Keefe has the whistle there and Matthew Reynal among his assistants. Now, the weather for Saint Denis, I don't think you could possibly have better conditions if it pans out like this. It's going to be partly cloudy, 13 degrees, not too warm, practically no wind and just a 2% chance of rain. I think that's all good. There's no external factors there. It's just the rugby. So hopefully that's what pans out. Now, of course, there are many other big matches in the World Cup this weekend, but we usually try to pick one of them to have a look at. But I reckon for most Harpen followers, the next most important could be the preseason friendly taking place at Navan RFC on Friday evening as Leinster play Ulster. The URC kickoff is about a month away. What did you make of that starting lineup, Keego?
Yeah, I enjoy. You keep forgetting about. Forgetting is the wrong word, but you look at the conveyor belt of back rows. You look at Frawley. You look at all these players who have played in massive games, who are now leaders. They're now leaders in this preseason group because all the guys are away, so they are gaining so much experience. While the heartbreak of being left out of a World Cup squad, they've trained with Ireland. A lot of them. They're now coming back into this preseason with that knowledge and with that experience. So there's a lot of guys like Frawley, like even Deegan has had injury problems, but he's been there as well. A lot of these people who have had experience bringing that back to this younger squad of players. And it's brilliant to watch. Now, I need to pay more attention to it, but it is great for that psychology to be fed back into these kids. So when time comes and they're going to be given a jersey, King Leo is going to say, listen, I trust you. Here we go. You've been brought through from preseason under the guidance of the experienced players. Let's go. There'll be no gap. And that's the interesting thing to see in this preseason run.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting 15, all right, and especially with young James Culhan being handed the captaincy so young. I think I didn't check the numbers there, but I remember Reese Ruddock got it at a very young age as well, captain the side. I think Culhan's even younger, but that's obviously a statement for him. They obviously see something in him that he can be leading the team down the line. And also from the last match when we played Munster down in Cork, Jordan Larmer had to go off in the first half. But he's actually on the bench for this game as well. So that's really good to see. So hopefully we'll be able to, unfortunately I can't make it down there tonight. I was supposed to go, but hopefully there's a good turnout down there and it's a good evening's rugby. Okay. So that just brings us up to prediction time. And what do you think is going to happen in Paris?
I think it's +7, Ireland +7. And I think it's going to be post bomb squad when we score. And I think a lot of these big kind of walls that have been built are going to fall down. And I even think James Lowe is going to score the winning try.
Oh, okay. That's very good. And Yeah, well, so we'll hope that pans out. It's going to be, I mean, it's going to be one of those games. Just hopefully, there's nothing contentious, controversial, that's going to dominate Twitter. No, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
We just hope it's just a straight. We hope it's hard. We hope it's tough. We hope there's hard hits and all that stuff. But we just hope that there's nothing so much that it takes over the conversation afterwards. But
Yeah, I think that the referee whistle. I think it's calmed down. We spoke about it a few weeks ago after the Farrell thing, that they were going to be overly whistle heavy. It's calmed down quite a bit. The referees are quite good. I've no issue with any of the umpires or referees that are going to pop in tomorrow. And the weather's going to be good. The captain's run was rainy. I was worried about that, but now we see the weather's going to, hopefully weather's going to be good. And as has been said, the lads can leave. Not that they don't, but they can leave absolutely everything out there. 2 weeks off, a few days with the family afterwards, and then we can reset for Scotland. But look, let's get in there. It's going to be tough. It's going to be close. There's one score in it, and the score has James Lowe's name on it.
Hallelujah. Okay, so before we wrap things up, Keego, what stand-up gigs have you got lined up down the road?
Actually, on Sunday coming, I'm in the International Bar. There's a great show called Comedy and Jokers, Queens and Jokers, where they have it's comedy on the spot. Like, whose line is it anyway? But there's a theme through it. So that's Sunday at 7 o'clock in the International, and it's all getting built up. I'm going to Liverpool next weekend for 2 gigs in the Hot Water Comedy Club, and then we're building up to October 13th in Crowbar, which is the big show. You go to kegolast.com for tickets, and if you use Harpen at the checkout, there's a little discount if you listen to the podcast.
Brilliant stuff. And you'll find all those links, as always, in the program notes. Well, listen, many thanks, Keego, for harping, and also to you all for tuning in to our latest preview show. Enjoy the match wherever you are, and be sure to follow us on all the usual social media channels. And we will, of course, have a wrap pod for you recording on Sunday evening. Hopefully, you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.